I can't believe that George is just turning on the recording. Unbelievable. Well, at any rate, this is important that we record this official vote so we can share it to the folks who are absent. Uh, um, are there any blocking concerns or any questions? Well, hearing no blocking concerns, objections, or unreadiness, then Terrence Flowers, Rhonda Davis, Max Davis, welcome to the board. Which means,
turn up.
So that means that for everything that happens going forward, you have a vote in the process. The second item on the agenda is even though Rhonda and Max and Terrence don't know the people, but several people who have not been able to participate in the board for some time are being removed. And we've been discussing this within the administrative committee of the board. So those three people are Ashley Carrington of Cary, North Carolina, Rita Gonzalez of Trinity, North Carolina, and Danielle, oh, I'm spacing on Danielle's last name. Okay, yourself if you're not talking. But
I was am I involved in this part? Because I don't know those people.
Well, you can simply abstain.
Okay.
As long as you're not trying to block the consensus. But the rest of us know them. So Jennifer, I have to ask this question. Have you spoken with Danielle lately?
I have to be honest, I have not, but I have also not reached out to Danielle. So other than the SARN messaging coming from you that I'm responding to, I assume she's getting the same messaging. She's not responded to that, but I have not reached out. Russell, I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I speak to her text message quite often. And she's just, I think she's swamped with teaching and then, having 3 children that she adopted and her own, and with the Paradise Historic Foundation, I would abstain, but my personal feeling is that she really doesn't have time to be very active in SARN.
Well, that's my understanding, and it's very disheartening to be removing 3 women of color from the board. So we'll be working very hard over the next year since the majority of board members have been consistently women of color. And most of us are overloaded for one reason or another, but particularly Rita and Danielle seem to be really overloaded, and Rita is planning on moving to Mexico in the next year or so. And so if there are no blocking concerns or objections, can we agree to remove the 3 named members?
Okay,
well, hearing no blocking concerns or objections. Max would like to know the length of the term. Well, Max, the board appointments are 2-year terms, but you're coming in the middle of a term which started in June of 2021. And so the term will go till June of 2023. And at that point, we'll be meeting probably at the Highlander Center, which is where we kind of got started in 1999. We'll be meeting there in June of 2023 to probably reelect everybody and hopefully add some new people from Alabama and elsewhere, because we're trying to get up to at least 5 to 6 board members per state. So we want to get to 25 board members by the 25th anniversary, which will be in 2024. Actually, we have 2 anniversaries, which we're counting on the 2 of you helping with the Durham anniversary, because we were founded in Durham in November of 1998. So our 25th anniversary will be in November of 2023. And we plan to have it at the Hayti Heritage Center, is where we usually have our important Durham events. So please tell me that the Hayti Heritage Center still exists.
Still exist.
Wonderful, because that's where we'll be having our 25th anniversary celebration in November of 2023. In November of 2018, we had our 20th anniversary there, and we had the Fruit of Labor singers, and we had a proclamation from the mayor. It was fantastic. And because it was a Friday night, Steve Schul couldn't be there with us because he's Jewish, but he did send Jillian, and so she did the proclamation, and we actually have a wonderful video of it that I'm hoping that Terrence will help us get the video up at the site, because I have the video. I was looking at the disc the other day, so Terrence, we can talk about that later. But I hope I answered your question, Max.
Okay, yeah, you did. I didn't know what the actual length was. It's I've been out of pocket for a little while since I retired. It's been like 2 years, and so I'm trying to get acclimated to retirement and not having to get up so early in the morning anymore.
Well, you remember John Hope Franklin?
Yeah, absolutely.
One of our dignity on legs. One of the things that he said, Max, when he was speaking, when he was like in his around 91 or 92, and he said, I don't understand all this talk about retirement. We haven't won yet. So how can anybody retire? And he worked up to the very last minute. So I'm trying to live the John Hope Franklin life. So I'm working up to the very last minute. So at any rate, George, what's next on the agenda? I think we're going to have to table the issue of the minutes.
Finance and fundraising discussion.
George, are you still there?
Yes, I guess you didn't hear me. The next thing on the agenda is the finance and fundraising discussion.
Yes, because we're tabling the board minutes since the secretary is not here. So we'll have to prove them at the March meeting. By the way, for the new board members, we meet quarterly. So the meetings are in January, March, June, and September. And in between the quarterly board meetings, we're all connected with each other through the work that we do. Because you don't have to do anything extra. It's just based on the work you're already doing, like the wonderful work that Rhonda is talking about, which is my passion of working with children and working for education equity. And then, of course, Max will be a union man till he dies. So we do a lot of worker justice work. And so it's based on the work you're already doing. So we're going to bring you out of retirement, so to speak, Max, because I know they're always calling on you. When you retire, they always call on the old union folks to help them with all their problems. So I'm sure you'll be getting calls from the city workers about one thing or another, right, Max?
He's right here. He does get a call almost what, every few days for the
Yeah.
union.
Yeah, I do get calls from people that have various problems that they need advice on, or they ask me what they think would be the best course of action. So yeah, even though I'm no longer physically there, I'm still, spiritually, I guess, there.
Well, there's something called Union Forever. So
Right.
I'm Union Forever with CWA, which was my birth union when I was 18. That was the first union. So I still pay dues to them every month. I pay dues to SEIU because they pay me 2 pensions every month. So I
Right.
feel there. And then I get a pension from AT&T because of my CWA membership. So I don't have a problem paying $5 a month to each union to be Union Forever. And I get invited to everything and I know about all the campaigns. So we're Union Forever, Max. Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so we're looking at the financial report, and I'm gonna run through it quickly. What we do, Max, Rhonda, and Terrence, at every board meeting, we always do a somewhat detailed financial report. And because this is January and the start of the year, we're looking at our budget because our fiscal year is January 1 to December 31st of each year. So what we do is let everyone know what's currently in the bank accounts. Now, I must say it's my fault, but there was a check outstanding that showed up that I didn't realize it. So the treasurer was writing me at 5 a.m. in the morning yesterday, why are we overdrawn in our special project account, which we get income of $1,250 from the city of Columbus for this account for a project that we're doing here, which is called a crime prevention contract, dealing with the school to prison pipeline and working with parents. So they awarded us $15,000, which started in July of 2021, and they prorated over 12 months. So any day now, that check for $1,250 is gonna come. But in the meantime, I'll probably transfer $100 from the 9438 account into the project account, and then we'll simply transfer it back when the money comes in the next couple of days. But we do have income on the 15th of every month that goes into the general fund account, and the income that we'll get on the 15th of this month, which will likely come on Friday, the 14th, it will be $757. So we'll have more than enough money in the general fund to make a transfer over. But I'll probably make the transfer over tomorrow because the bank doesn't like you to be overdrawn for too many days. So that's something that everyone should be aware of. We have 3 checking accounts and we have a credit card. The credit card, we pretty much have maxed out, but we'll be making large payments on the credit card over the next 4 months in order to get the balance down to 0 by the summer, by June. And so that's the credit card. And then we have a new account for the Fannie Lou Hamer branch of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. And that account has $69.12 in it. But come February, we're going to be getting a mini grant of $2,500 that will go in that account. Now, the next figures that you see are our proposed budget. And this is the anticipated income of $100,000. we're expecting and hoping to get a grant of $50,000 from the Plowshares Fund. And then the Mary Rose Babcock Foundation, which funded the SPICE program in Durham many years ago, 2004 to 2007, where they say they're willing to consider giving us $15,000 for our general fund. So I just put in the organizational summary to them today. So we should hear from them in 2 to 4 weeks about whether or not we're invited to tell them more so that we could get the $15,000. So we should be able to have that money by March. And then we're applying for another grant, Resist, for $5,000. And I believe we apply for that in March. And so we should have that by June. So we should have the Plowshares money and the Resist money by June. And all the Plowshares money will go into mainly the Fannie Lou Hamer branch project, but it will be deposited into the general fund because we're the fiscal sponsor for the Fannie Lou Hamer branch here. And so our individual donations, I feel confident that we can do that. And so to save time, I won't go through any detail because all of you have copies of this. And so then the expenses that are listed here. And so what we need from all of you at this board meeting is to answer any questions you may have, but we really need to approve the proposed budget as it stands. That's an official act that needs to be documented in the minutes. And George will be sharing the recording with Kim Thomas so that she can develop the minutes from the decisions that we made at the meeting today. So are there any questions about the financial report or the proposed budget for the year 2022? I'm not hearing any questions. Well, I need somebody to say or write in the chat, looks good to me, or something, so that we can know that we reached consensus on the proposed budget so we can move the agenda.
Everything sounds good to me.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay by me.
Okay. So hearing no objections, then we will confirm to the treasurer that the financial report which she developed and the budget that she developed, she's at a conference in Florida, so she couldn't be with us, but we will let her know that we have consensus on accepting her report and the budget. Teresa, are you yourself? International League for Peace and Freedom. And I will start with the fact that most all of us are members of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. And what we've been doing, Rhonda, Max, and Terrence, we've been gifting memberships of board members. So the annual membership is $35 a year. So if you're in agreement that you want to be a member, then I will simply go online and using our account, I will simply sign you up as members. So Max and Rhonda, you will be members of the Triangle branch of WILF, which is kind of based out of Chapel Hill, but it includes Durham, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill. So you will be 2 more members of the Triangle branch, because Rosa Saavedra is a member of the Triangle branch. And we have another former board member who was the secretary. She's 81 years old. Maybe you know Mary White. Max?
Max said he didn't think he knew Miss White.
Oh, okay. She does a
He
lot
said
of
if he
work.
did, he doesn't remember.
Yeah, well, I think you might remember she does a lot of work on healthcare, and she has this healthcare coalition that's based in Durham. She's
Oh.
81. Yeah, she's 81 years old, and she does a lot of work with NCCU, Public Health Department. I think when you see her, you'll probably remember, because she comes to all of the stuff associated with the Black Workers for Justice and all of
Okay, I
that.
probably do know her then.
Yeah, I think you will. She's quite elderly now, so she pulled back from the board a year or so ago. But she donates $15 a month to SARN. She sends me these cashier's checks every month for $15 because she wants to maintain her membership in SARN. So she's one of our major donors. Because we consider anybody who gives over $100 a year to SARN as a major donor. And we'll have to revisit the issue of fundraising if we have time. If not, we'll do it at the March board meeting. But in terms of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, the website is us.org. And so if Terrence, you and Max and Rhonda could take a look at it, and if you confirm you're willing to be a member of this organization founded in 1915 that's about social justice and ending war, then let me know. And at the admin meeting of the board, the admin committee includes me, Adrian Bernal, and the other officers, Deidre Whittlesey, vice chair, Kim Porter, secretary, and Kat Canella, treasurer. So there are 5 of us on the admin committee, and we meet between board meetings. So we'll be meeting in February, we'll be meeting in April and May, and then we'll meet in July and August. So we meet between board meetings. And so the next board meeting is March, the full board meeting, but the admin committee meets during board meetings because we run the organization between board meetings. But the board meetings are the highest decision-making body. So anything that we may be doing as an admin committee can be undone, but we definitely ask for support for it. And the finances and the fundraising is mainly what we
Don't hear any audio from you, Teresa.
what?
Didn't hear your audio for about 20 seconds there.
Well, George, I was asking you to give a report on the Triad, wannabe Charlotte, Piedmont, and Triad branches.
Right now, we have a Triad branch that geographically covers from Gastonia, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Charlotte. Our goal is to have 2 branches, one that is Winston-Salem and Greensboro area, and another that's the Gastonia, Charlotte, Piedmont area. We currently in the Gastonia, Charlotte area have enough members to have a branch, but they're lacking 1 additional member in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem area, Kim, before there are 10 members to have a Triad branch on its own. That's our status.
Well, it's very exciting because the Fannie Lou Hamer branch was formed in Columbus, Georgia in March of 2021. So this March, we'll be celebrating our 1 year anniversary, and we have about 15 members. It takes 10 members to form a branch. And so that's what George was alluding to. And I hope that they get it together in North Carolina so they can have the two branches because the Fannie Lou Hamer branch held its first annual human rights conference. And we're actually trying to get a grant for $50,000 to cover the second annual human rights conference. And the one thing I do want to ask the board, we do have a rule that's enshrined in our bylaws that board members cannot be paid by the organization. However, we're going to need the expertise of Adrian and Terrence, and I plan to act as a national coordinator for the conference that is scheduled for December 10th in Atlanta. So we need to vote. We don't have to vote this board meeting, but we will need to vote by the March board meeting to suspend that article in our bylaws that says that board members cannot be paid through funds raised by the organization because Adrian, Terrence, and I will need to get paid. The idea is that we will have a conference coordinator based in North Carolina, one based in South Carolina, and one based in Alabama, and one based in Georgia. And I would serve as a kind of national coordinating person, but we will be paying people for coordinating $1,000 a month, and we'll put out a job announcement for the 4 state coordinators. So we want Kim and others to be looking out for people who could serve in that role. Because if we get the grant we're supposed to get, it would be $1,000 a month from July to December. So the person would be under contract for $6,000, and that would be a person in North Carolina, a person in South Carolina, a person in Georgia, and a person in Alabama. So that's how we get to 6 times 4 is 24, and then I would earn $6,000, and that's how we get to that line item of 30,000 in the budget. That's if you should vote that there's no prohibition against board members serving for this one time as paid folks. And the idea, we're still working on the budget for the tech services, but the idea is that there will be one-time payments for tech services. They may start in October, but the tech services will be on the spot on the day of the conference. And so we're working with a $5,000 budget overall for tech services. So we got to figure out how to make that work. But that's what Terrence and Adrian are part of the tech team. And George is also on the tech team. So you have George Friday, Ellen Thomas, and Ellen Swartz. They do not need to get paid. And we have Terrence, Adrian, and Kareem Moore. So we're getting ready to pay a lot of people if we get the Plowshares grant. So I just wanted to throw that out there because that's all associated with Will. And if we could just hear a final Will word from Jennifer Disney, because I envision that we should have 10 people who are members at Winthrop. So it would be the Winthrop University branch of Will. So, dear Jennifer, are we there yet?
I'm glad you said that because that makes more sense to me, a Winthrop University chapter as opposed to a South Carolina chapter, because that's most of my connections are through Winthrop. We're probably halfway there. I don't think we're to 10. I guess because I was trying to think outside in the community. There are some other local universities, like I could reach out to York Tech. I know some people there. But if it's okay to have a Winthrop chapter, then I think we can get to 10, no problem, and very quickly. So I appreciate that idea.
Well, it's especially important because of your work with gender studies. And there is a kind of culture organizationally of university related practicum type presence inside of the US section of Will. So it makes absolute sense to have a Winthrop University branch, and it just would give so much street creds to the work we're doing in the South. So if you can make that happen sooner rather than later, I would love to be celebrating the founding of the Winthrop branch in March when we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Fannie Lou Hamer branch. And that celebration is going to take place on Sunday, March 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you could work to having your branch up and running by then, it'll be a dual celebration with Fannie Lou Hamer and the Winthrop University. How does that sound?
That sounds great. And you or George could let me know after the meeting. It doesn't have to be with everybody, but once we get our 10 members officially enrolled through WILF Online USA, is there anything else we need to do to officially establish the branch? That's all I would need to know.
No, once you have 10 members, the membership development chair, who is a woman named Shilpa Pandey, she will acknowledge that you're a branch. And so the national board meets monthly. So as soon as you have the 10 members, you can join a national board meeting, which is always on the last Tuesday of the month. And you can announce that you're forming the Winthrop University branch. And
I think we lost you again, Teresa.
Tell me that name one more time, Teresa, so I know who to reach out to.
just reach out to me and let me know. So that's something you and I can work out in terms of getting to the board meeting, because I'm running for membership development committee chair in November, and I'm likely to get elected to the national board. And so right now I'm working very closely with the treasurer and the current membership development chair. So I'm actually the go-to person for branch development in the South. So we can talk later. And I'm just the contact person for the branch building in the South, because when we kicked off Fannie Lou Hamer branch last March, then we rapidly built the Metro Atlanta branch and then the Triad branch. And now you're coming on board with the Winthrop branch, and we could end up with 2 branches in North Carolina. There was only one branch in the South when we got started, and that was the Triangle branch, which is about 90 years old. So it's one of the oldest branches in the country. That's the branch that Max and Rhonda will be joining, because women and men are both welcome So Adrian is a member of the Metro Atlanta branch. And so most of us on the board are already members of WIL. And so we want to make that unanimous at some point by making sure that Terrence, Max, and Rhonda are members. Now we started a little bit late, so we're going over a little bit. But George, if you could put up the Spice Tot strategy chart, and we can just give people a quick report on what we're doing here in Columbus. George, did you hear me?
I have to
George, I can't hear you.
figure out 20 more seconds.
Oh, yes, thanks for the correction, Kim. I did mean Kim Thomas, secretary, and she's not here with us tonight. But Kim Porter, I do want to talk to you about something we've been talking about you acting as assistant secretary to Kim Thomas. But that's something we'll be talking about at the admin committee meeting in February. So, George, is the thing up? George, we lost you?
No, it's here. Hopefully y'all can see it.
No, not yet.
You can?
Yeah, I can see it.
Can you?
I can see it, yes,
You see the strategy chart?
yes.
Oh, no. Well, I'm using my phone and sometimes the phone X kind of quirky. Oh, there it is. I can see it now. So I'll just run through it. SARN has a contract with the Columbus Consolidated Government, and we've developed this 2-year strategy chart where, as you can see, we have many community partners, some of them who haven't done very much, like the Columbus Community Center, the Columbus NAACP, and the Fatherhood Initiative. They're probably going to be coming off of the partners list. We meet monthly, and our meeting for this month is tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the morning. And George does the same thing for the COT group that she does for the SARN board. Paying George $250 a month to keep up with the strategy chart and to do the meeting. And we're getting ready to make a shift so that tomorrow, George has already been paid for January. So we're going to switch to quarterly meetings of the collaborative. So the next meeting won't be until March. And we're going to try to decide if we want to continue paying George or if we're going to move to a different model. But as you can see, our goals are to achieve clarity on equity versus equality when it comes to education. And so our main areas are working for affordable housing, education equity, and public safety / public health, because we started in the middle of the pandemic. So we make the connection between public safety and public health. So that those are our 3 overriding goals. How do we improve those 3 areas? And for this 2-year strategic plan, we're trying to help people understand there's a big difference between equity and equality. We're increasing our collaborative partners. We're going to drop a few who never come to the meetings. But as you can see, we have some pretty important institutional partners like Goodwill Industries, the Housing Authority, the Greater Columbus Chamber, and the Urban League and West Central. So we have some important institutional partners. And then our main kind of goal is to build parent participation committees in housing authority properties. So we use the money we get from crime prevention to pay a lot of people. So we pay a lot of low income women. We paid them thousands over the past 3 years because we received $55,000 in contracts over the past 3 years, 20,000 in 2019, the 20,000 in 2020, and we see 15,000 this year. So we're halfway through the 15,000. So we'll be receiving $7,500 over the next 6 months. And then, of course, we've done some action research and we have some community activities, which George will be adding to the community activities tomorrow to include the Parent Summit in November. And we'll be including the Fannie Lou Hamer anniversary, since the Fannie Lou Hamer branch is also one of the partners. So we'll be adding community activities tomorrow, George, and then you can see our strategic objectives, which points to the money we've raised already. We didn't quite make it to raise $5,000 by 12/31/21, but we did.
Teresa, I can't hear you.
Sorry. So every now and then the phone goes out depending on how I'm holding it. But I pretty much said enough. So do anybody have any questions about the strategy chart? So that's the Columbus, Georgia work. And since we're headquartered here, most of the work of the organization is being done here. But at the March meeting, we'll talk more about how we change that. So that's actually the last item on the agenda, unless someone has some other business that they want to bring before the board. Is there any other business to come before the board? Oh, thanks, Kim. It's a lot of work, but I'm tired. So come November, I'm starting to shift my priorities. So I'm turning the parent participation committee work over to the actual parents. So I'm literally gonna give them the checkbook in November of this year, and they're gonna be kind of on their own with oversight from SARN to support them. But I'm getting ready to turn it all over to the people most affected by the problem. And you know how that goes. That's our job as organizers, right, Kim Porter? We got to turn it over to the people. And that's what we're doing in November, which is why the strategy is from November 2020 to November 2022, because the parents will take over.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any other business to come before the board? Well, the final item is to decide when we want to meet in March. We generally try to meet somewhere around the 15th of the month. It would be because we know how much money is going to be deposited in our account, usually by the 10th of the month. So when I called Network for Good a few days ago and asked them how much our deposit would be, they told me it would be $757, which should be in our account on Friday, but certainly no later than Tuesday of next week, since Monday is the holiday. But we have that amount of money coming in to add to the money we have in there. So we'll have about $800 to $900 in the general fund in a few days. So can we decide on meeting in March somewhere between the 10th and the 15th of the month, so if people could look at their calendars for March? Now, the 15th of March is on a Tuesday, and the 16th of March is on a Wednesday. What's your pleasure? The 15th or the 16th?
I vote for the 16th.
Great. Now we'll check with other members of the admin committee to make sure the treasurer is leaving to go on leave, and she will leave March 1. So she'll be on leave until she has her baby, which she's due to have a baby in the summer. So Deidre Whittlesey and I will be managing the funds here in Columbus after March 1. So all three of us are signers on the checking accounts and the credit cards. So Kat Canella will be on leave as of March 1. So she may come to the board meeting on March 15, but possibly not. But she will definitely be at the admin committee in February. So we got to make sure that Kim Thomas and all of you are here. And so we should have a real
You cut out again. The last thing we heard was we should have a real.
lively board meeting in March because Kim Thomas, Deidre Whittlesey, and Rosa Saavedra should be here. They're the missing board members tonight. So if we're all set, if we could go with March 16th, are there any objections since Terrence prefers March 16th?
March 16th is probably okay. The 15th might have worked better for me, but I think the 16th is all right.
Yeah, same concern.
Oh, okay. Well, Terrence, is there any way you can do the 15th? Because that actually would be my preference to do it on Tuesday. I know a lot of people have a tendency to do church on Wednesday evenings. And so, Terrence.
Yeah, we can do Tuesday. Thing is, my son, he's a junior, and their basketball season is almost over, and their games are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It depends what time. I can leave the game early or go outside to the car for the meeting. It's just like this is his last year actually playing basketball, and I document a lot of his games for his footage for college, and I just didn't want to miss it. But I can't leave early or step outside if the game is starting to bleed over into the meeting time.
So what time does the game normally end?
It's in the 8 o'clock hour that they're in. It's high school, so it could be 8:30, 15. It's not a set time that it ends, but usually around the 8 o'clock hour. They start about 7. That game lasts about an hour 15, an hour. It just depends, but I would say that they're at least about 8:15. But that's no worries of you guys. I'm a team player, and I'm the new guy on the totem pole, so I would definitely take the hit. So Tuesday works for me.
Yeah, because we generally start the meetings about 5 minutes into the hour. So if we start at 8, you won't miss much because we still might be doing introductions.
Yes, ma'am, that works.
Okay, well, let the recording record that our next board meeting will be Tuesday, March 15th at 8 p.m. And we will try to start as close to on time as possible because we believe in the 1 hour meeting. And this is the first time I can remember that we've gone over this much. But we try to keep it to an hour. And we had a lot on the agenda tonight, and we did start after 9:15. So thanks to everybody for being here. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay,
Motion to
wonderful,
adjourn.
wonderful. If there are no objections to adjourning, let it record that the meeting is ending at 9:29 p.m. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night. Have a good
Night.
evening.
Everybody.
Good to meet y'all.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.